Detained or arrested is the question at hand. Many people ask me the question, can the police detain you without formally arresting you? Now, I've had this question a number of times and it's not an entirely straightforward answer. This video will be the short version, but as usual there will be a long version, but not in this video. So you've got to make sure you like this video and subscribe if you want the long version. But either way, welcome back. But if you're new to me, I'm a barrister who helps you understand law. So the question, can the police detain you? Ordinarily, no. But there are some exceptions, which I'll go into greater detail in a second video. However, the standard position is, if the police are not formally arresting you, then they don't have any more powers than any other citizen would have in that situation. Allow me to explain. In the case of Walker and the Commissioner of Police, a police officer had blocked Mr. Walker in the doorway because he wanted to ask him some questions, but had no intention to arrest him at the time. And at no stage did he say or purport that he was going to arrest this man. When this case came to court, the police officer accepted that his initial detention in the doorway was not for the purposes of arrest, rather just because he wanted to ask him some questions. But when this matter came before the Court of Appeal, the court considered earlier cases of Collins and Wilcock in which the police officer took hold of a woman's arm for the purposes of asking questions, but without any immediate intention to arrest the woman. In that earlier case, the woman had resisted arrest, which is ordinarily a very specific offence by itself if they cause harm, but her conviction was overturned on appeal when the court decided that unless the officer was exercising a power of arrest, the police officer had no greater powers than any other member of the public. The reason is, if you're exercising a power of arrest, even as a citizen, which I've done many videos on so you can check those out, maybe I'll link those in the description below, but if you're exercising a power of arrest, you can use a certain amount of force that is necessary and reasonable. Careful if you're a citizen, because police officers are obviously trained to use the right amount of force, and of course they can use higher degree of force by the use of handcuffs and so on. But this ultimately set the record straight that unless the police officer is arresting the person, they cannot use any force, meaning they cannot detain them. But there are some exceptions, as I said, which I'll discuss in greater detail in another video, but very broadly speaking, if you're being detained for the purposes of a search, or if you're being detained within a building in order to identify the correct person, there is case law on this, or if your movements are being restricted within the building so that the search can be conducted properly without you interfering with the search. The court had commented that this was a relatively high burden to prove that was necessary, but those are some of the exceptions. So, as a broad answer to this question that I get very often, detained? No, not ordinarily. There would be a need to be arrested for the purposes of asking questions and potentially even to be searched properly. But detained for the purposes of a search is one thing that they might be able to justify. So as I said, not a simple subject, but something that I will come back to in more detail. So please do make sure you like this video and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.